Hi and welcome to Dyer Consequences, and I'm Claire Dyer, and you're watching Unprecedented TV, where free speech stays free and nothing gets censored. So today we're going to be diving deep into the realities of freedom of expression in modern Britain and what happens when you dare to actually try and speak your mind. My guest today is Jamie Michaels, and he knows this all too well. Jamie Michael, and he knows very too well because he was actually arrested and held on remand for simply posting a video sharing his views on the state of this country and everything that is happening to it. We're going to be talking about what happened, what it says about free speech today, and why so many people are afraid to now speak out. So I want to welcome to the show Jamie.
Hi Claire, how's it going?
Okay, busy, very busy, and it's very stressful. Do you not feel that we are being bombarded at the moment with lots of things? You know, we're just been attacked from all angles, aren't we?
Yeah, something. It's multiple things every day now, not just one thing every day. It's just bad news after bad news, and
It's constant.
You're meant to just shut up about it and not voice your opinions.
Yeah, and you definitely know how that feels because you've not had a very good time yourself, have you? Which is why I've asked you to come on today. So I want you to sort of tell me a little bit about, well, first of all, tell me your background, because I think that's really important for people to know what your background is.
Where do you want to start?
I don't know. You find a place to start. It's your place to speak and talk.
From when I left school, and I was a good footballer when I was younger, so I ended up doing an apprenticeship footballer with Oxford United. Before that, I was with Man United. I signed schoolboy forms, but then they released me and I went to Oxford United. I was there for about 18 months before transferring to Cardiff, and I just ended up leaving Cardiff and trying my luck in New Zealand. I went over there and then came back after about 6 months. It didn't work out over there, and I was feeling a little bit kind of lost because my footballing dream didn't quite work out. And one day I was Christmas shopping actually, and walked past the Army Careers Office in Cardiff. Went in for a browse and got talked. Met a Royal Marine, and he asked me what was my background, and I told him I had been a footballer and I was quite fit. And he said, "Why didn't you try the Royal Marines?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd seen a little bit about the Royal Marines on TV and stuff like that. I didn't really know much about it." But he said, "If you're fit, then this is the one for you." So that's what I did. I went on a 3-day trial. It's called a potential Royal Marines course, and when I came back, it was like a breath of fresh air. Because I'd had a lot of disappointments in football, and it gave me a bit of a confidence boost. So I ended up signing up for the proper training, and a couple of I think it was about maybe 2 months later, I was on the full kind of Royal Marines training course, and so I joined when I was 20. Wow. I passed out as an original, so that means you pass out first time. You don't get back trooped at all. And from there, I done 4 years in the Royal Marines, where I served in. I done 2 tours in Sierra Leone when there was trouble over there. I done a tour of Northern Ireland, and I went on Optelic 1, which was the kind of initial invasion into Iraq in 2003.
You are somebody who has given your life for this country, and I can see this is you in the photo. Where was this taken?
I was in Iraq. Yeah, we I really shouldn't have taken a photo there because we were kind of on and off under fire all that day. I literally took a quick photo there, and we were jumping on and off that wagon because that wagon was. You could hear the bullets hitting in now and again. That was the time to jump off, and you're jumping off as it was going. Luckily, in my troop, we didn't have anyone serious injuries, but the only injuries we had was actually jumping off that wagon when it was going, and guys were breaking their legs. So
Wow.
no other.
So you've seen quite a bit during your time in the Marines, then, haven't you?
Yeah, it was busy. It was a real busy 4 years. I couldn't have picked a kind of a better time to join then if you were looking for action, because I was literally in and out of operations the whole time I was there. That was the first day in Iraq, and there was mortars being dropped just behind that building, and because there was a threat of chemical attack as well, we put our respirators on, but they were just normal mortars, so there was no actual chemicals being dropped right there then.
So how long were you in the Marines for?
I just done the minimum term, which is I done 4 years and 1 month.
Right. How was that when you actually left, after everything that you'd kind of been through, all of you'd been through?
Well, it was difficult because I'd literally just come back from Iraq, because my notice was in. Oh, you got to give a year's notice, so my notice was in a year prior to that, and so I literally went to Iraq, came out, and literally left. So I didn't have a transition period where you were kind of a cool down then from being in war to then just walking our streets, and then I was a civilian as well, then not even going back into the Marines.
Yeah.
I was in Northern Ireland.
You were in Northern Ireland. Okay. So you've seen quite a lot then, haven't you?
I've seen a bit, yeah. I've there's people out there seen a lot more than me, but I have seen a bit, definitely, yeah.
So I'm going to move forward to actually, why I wanted you to come on, because you were in fact arrested, weren't you, for a 10-minute video that you posted onto, I believe, Facebook, wasn't it? Off the back of Axel Rudakabana, obviously killing 3 children and injuring 10, didn't you, Jamie? Yeah.
Yeah. So the victims here were children, and that's what I was worried about. And having 2 young girls myself,
yeah,
I felt that I just wanted to try and do something, as in get some kind of safety measures in place for the children in my local area. I knew I couldn't do something for the whole of the UK. I just wanted to do something in my area. So I called on the community to have a meeting about that, and I clearly said in the video that we were gonna, in this meeting, we were gonna consult the police, the politicians, the councillors, try and get them involved. So see if we could get some actual proper security in place at the schools and parks, because obviously that's where the children are in the daytime and after school. So that was my little bit that I wanted to do. And
we do have some clips of that 10-minute video that, if the studio can pull that up, please.
Security on the schools now these days, right? That person who stabbed in them schools, he wasn't even from that area, by the sounds of it, right? So they could come in from afar. We need people to be, that schools need to be monitored on the front gates, and all sorts of other things as well. I think we should have security in parks and all sorts, right? And just be vigilant.
That was my kind of the meeting was going to be about trying to get a neighbourhood watch type operation on the schools and parks. If the councillors didn't get involved and actually put security on the schools and parks, which I kind of I thought that they wouldn't. So I thought, if they're not going to do anything for the safety, then we as a community should try and at least do something.
And you're not the only person that is saying this, though. Up and down the country, people are saying, I'm saying it, that as a community or a village or a town, we need to get people together, like a new form of local residents association, if you like. And, we need to patrol our streets. We need to hold our councils to account. We need to be asking questions. We need to not let these things slide. We need to be standing up and not fighting. It's terminology, but not fighting as in physically fighting, but making a stand legally and holding to account. And there's so many people saying that, so you're not the only person. Yet it seems that by you saying this didn't go down very well for some reason.
Well, it triggered the local councillor who reported me. And
who is your councillor? What party? Does that of interest?
Labour.
Oh,
It was Buffy Williams and Ryan Evans. Ryan Evans was her telecommunications officer, and she tasked him to actually come to my meeting. I don't know if he actually came in, but they did say that he, in the evidence, that he was outside and he's seen us outside with notepads, about 8 of us, he said. There was about 40 people that came to the meeting. It was mixed, like it was men and women, mostly older ladies and older men. There was a few youngsters there, but mostly older. And we kind of had a chat about doing neighbourhood watches and a chat in general about safety. Right. And then we decided then we wanted some formal representation. Because we knew people were getting arrested at this time as well, so we wanted some formal representation. And we decided we were going to contact the local Reform councillor candidate, and we were going to see if they could come to the next meeting. So I did actually contact him, and he was coming to the following meeting. That didn't actually happen because I got arrested before that actually happened. Then
we're going to show the other videos. We're going to show the other videos of part of what was said in that 10 minutes, because I think people need to see that. If the studio can put them up as well, please.
Organising, okay, which doesn't mean getting bats and knives and stuff and going doing what they're doing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way, getting in big groups, having meetings, and going to the council, going to the police, and going to the politicians.
I think we should also play there's another one as well. We'll play that one as well, if the studio can bring that up as well, please.
I would say that we need security on schools now at the moment, okay? And that should be paid for out of our council tax money, which seems to be disappearing into thin air, because it's not gone into the valleys, it's not gone into the leisure centres, it's not gone into anything to do with us.
Yeah. See, from what I'm seeing there, I can't see that there was anything that you said that warranted you getting arrested.
No, most people, like even people who I didn't know, people have said that they had passed this video on to others to have a look at it. And everyone who viewed that video said that they couldn't believe that I was being arrested. There was even he's a Pakistani immigrant, and he'd been messaging me, and he said that he'd seen that I'd been arrested, and he felt disgusted, and he had also passed it to 5 of his friends, and they said there was nothing racist in there at all.
Right.
So that was nice of him to do that. And
so what exactly was the charge when you were arrested?
Public Order Act, trying to incite racial hatred, I think it was, but that's not what I initially got arrested for. It was Public Order Acts. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but they changed it a couple of times. They even changed it like a week before. It was trying to incite racial hatred to likely to incite racial hatred.
So what was their evidence? What exactly was their evidence for this, that you were inciting racial hatred by saying that you wanted to form a neighbourhood watch, you wanted security on the schools, you wanted, obviously, security in parks, all of these things that you've mentioned?
Well, they said throughout my video that I had, they were trying to say that I was labelling all migrants scumbags and psychopaths, when I had said at the start of my video, I had said that some of them, the people who are coming over illegally have been radicalised, and we could be. I think I can't remember off my top of my head, but they had been radicalised and they could be psychopaths, and we just don't know who or which ones they are.
But just to put into context, I'm guessing you're not that far from Southport. It's quite close, isn't it, in relation to the whole of the UK to you, isn't it?
Not really. I am.
Oh,
I'm about
I
4
thought
hours.
it was. I'm not that great at geography, clearly, but I didn't think.
If I lived up North Wales, I'd be closer. Yeah, but I'm down South Wales, so I'm.
Right.
I'm about
But,
4.
this is when obviously emotions are running high, because who cannot be affected by the fact that these children, these girls had been killed and 10 had been injured, and they weren't telling us the truth. It was so obvious that the mainstream media weren't telling us the truth.
That's what was getting to me. They were saying he was a quiet Welsh choir boy. Well, I was thinking that's not the actions of a quiet Welsh choir boy. And I've never seen or heard anything in my life like that in the UK. That's something that, to me, came from out of this country. And that's what I thought it was, because there was rumours going around that he possibly had recently come in on a small boat, but that was found out to be wrong. But I actually said in my video that this person has probably been either radicalized at home or in a mosque, and I was right, because it looks like he was radicalized at home to me.
I mean, he does kind of look a little bit scary and a little bit evil, doesn't he, to be fair?
Yeah.
And as I said, they weren't upfront about it, and as it turned out, wasn't he?
Well, they never get held accountable. The mainstream media painted him as a quiet Welsh choir boy, when multiple times he had been caught carrying weapons to school. He was known to the Prevent team. He talked about doing genocides. I mean, when do the media ever get pulled in and taken to court for their misinformation? Because I had a couple of things wrong. I did think that he'd come in recently on small boat. I did get that wrong. But they were saying he was a quiet Welsh choir boy. So, that's really, really wrong.
The thing is, had they been upfront with us and just told the truth, I don't think there would have been as much anger. I mean, don't get me wrong, what happened was absolutely horrendous, but it was the fact that it seemed very apparent that between the government and the mainstream media, they were trying to cover it up, and they were trying to shut down people's feelings of how horrendous what happened was. And the fact that they weren't giving answers, the fact that they didn't seem to be going the right way about it,
I just think they've seen this as an opportunity to really clamp down on the so-called far right, and there is no far right that I know of. There's just people on the right who are having a natural reaction to 10 little girls being butchered, and if you look deeper into it, then I've seen it during COVID that there was people planted in them crowds to agitate it further. They'll probably be the first ones throwing bricks. They'll be at the front pushing the people at the front into the police, and we've seen that kind of thing going on during COVID protests. And then people are walking freely into the back of police vans and with no handcuffs on them. So I think there was more. I think we'll find out in the future that there was a lot more to this than riots than what we have been told.
Yeah. So the point is, off the back of people's emotions running very high, very distressed and shocked about what had happened, and not to mention the fact that it was only just a few days before you'd had the assault on 2 female police officers at Manchester Airport, which they'd covered that up as well. They tried to deceive the true story about that.
Again, they're only showing in the Manchester Airport video, they were only showing you the bits that they wanted to show. They didn't actually show where them lads had been assaulting the police officers beforehand.
Yeah.
They just showed where the guys on the floor had a kick to the head, and then everyone just thought that was it, And
Yeah.
then, when that actual video came out, then that the fight that happened beforehand, the person that filmed that video, then the police were looking for him as if he was in the wrong.
Yeah. I just feel that, no one, unless you're not human, could not have your heart break at the pictures that we just saw of those 3 little girls and what happened to them. And, this is each and every one of them, their families, they've got to live with this for the rest of their lives. They're never going to get over this. And yet we know how strongly we felt about it. And off the back of that, off the back of the emotions running high and the way in which the mainstream media and our government handled it, you went out and you did a video. And yes, you called them scumbags. Yes, you mentioned the fact that they may be illegal immigrants. You may have got some facts wrong, but, they twisted your terminology. You, like probably most people in this country, are thinking things are going badly wrong here. It is going wrong.
Well, things were escalating, after them riots. There was the riots at the hotel, and then there was gangs of Asians walking around with weapons, or through city centres in big numbers. And I had made my video because of the escalation, and that was the kind of the spark, then the actual Ruta Cabana. But a lot of things happened following that, and I thought things were escalating out of control. So my first thoughts were for the children and to try and get safety on them schools and parks.
Right.
I made the video spur of the moment. I was just, I was thinking about it, and it was making me feel really, upset. And I just thought, I've got to try and do something. So I never really thought too much about it. I just made the video.
Yeah, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what happened off the back of that video. And that is Tim Scott, back with Tim Scott Uncancelled, another great show that you will find here on Unprecedented TV. And I'm here talking with Jamie about a video that he made off the back of the 3 girls that were killed by Axel Cabana, difficult to pronounce his name, and that what got him arrested. So, and there he is. I mean, there are plenty of words, but sometimes it's best not to have those words, because if you do, you're more than likely going to get arrested for them, aren't you? As you found out, Jamie, unfortunately. So, so you got arrested, and what happened when you were arrested? Because this is what I find quite shocking, to be fair.
Yeah. So first of all, I had a knock at my home address. My girlfriend answered, and there was, I think it was about 6 police officers there. Some were in plain clothes, some weren't. She had said that I wasn't there, I was in work, so then they came here. And my girlfriend rang me, and she said the police had been here. I said, what for? And she said, I don't know. She said, but I told them, where you, to come to your work. So I went outside to meet them, because they won't be able to get in if they you can't just walk in the door. And as I walked out the door, I seen they were already there in the car park. So I activated my camera, as I would do for, my own evidence of safety. And I asked them then, what's happening? What are you here for? And they went on to say that I had been posting things on Facebook of a nature that can be looked at as I can't remember what he said now. I was indecent racial hatred. That's what the charge that he said I was getting done for. he told me they were going to take me into custody. I asked him for how long, and he said I wouldn't be long. So I just thought, well, not going to be long. They handcuffed me then because they asked if they could have my phone, and I was filming them, and I said, no, you can't have my phone. And then he lunged for me, so I just went to put it in my pocket, and they just they took the phone off me, handcuffed me to my rear, and took me to Bridgend police station. And I was cuffed for about an hour and a half, and I actually told them I had a shoulder injury at the time. It was really hurting me in there. I said, can you just cuff me to the rear? They said no, because of your reaction. And the only reaction I had was putting my phone in my pocket.
So they kept you in handcuffs because of that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And for, like I said, for an hour and a half. And they told me when I got to our police station that my interview was going to be ready, I was going to go straight into it. So I thought I was going to be in and out. Mm. When I got to the desk, they told me the charge, and they told me that it was a maximum of 7 years. And I was like, what?
7 years?
I was trying to think, what the hell's going on? I still didn't understand what I was getting done for, because they didn't properly explain when I got arrested. So I went into the cell, and then I was waiting, and nothing happened. I can't remember if I had seen my solicitor. I don't think I'd seen the solicitor on the first day. I think he came on the second day. But this was early Friday afternoon. This was about 1-2 o'clock, I think. And it went, like I said, they told me the interview was ready. Then it went all the way through to the next day. I wasn't allowed a phone call either, when I thought you'd be allowed a phone call. But I think they were.
You weren't allowed to make a phone call?
I weren't allowed a phone call till after my interview. So I was kind of pushed into taking the duty solicitor, unless I knew a solicitor that I could have. They said, "Do you want the duty solicitor?" And I took the duty solicitor. I've never been in trouble before where I needed a solicitor, and I just. But I wasn't allowed a phone call, and I think they said because they were I can't remember the reason why. Maybe it was because they were possibly looking that I was getting done under the Terrorism Act, because that's what the duty solicitor told me later on, that he said they were possibly looking at bringing my partner in as well, guilty by association, just for living with me. You're
joking?
No, yeah.
She's committed no crime, but they're going to bring her in just because she's your partner, and
association. Because he said something about the Terrorism Act, and I was like, I kept saying, for what? What have I done? And he kept saying, he going like, I don't know. He said they trying to take words out of your video and take it out of context and say that they're trying to incite racial hatred. And I kept saying, what words? What did I say? And he said, I can't tell you because the video was buffering. Okay, so the video my video they uploaded to this portal, it was buffering. So my duty solicitor couldn't see the video. But he was going off the transcript, and the words were changed in the transcript. They even changed the name of my video. The name of my video is "This Is What I Think," and they changed it to "This Is What I Believe." And they changed one word in the transcript where I said, they started a riot en masse. They changed "they" to "I," so it read, "I started a riot en masse," and the video didn't work. So in the transcript, I've admitted to starting a riot, and I kept saying to the solicitor, "Well, what do you mean it doesn't work?" Because surely it's you've got to be able to look at the evidence.
Well, I've heard this from a few people before that have been arrested on maybe something they said in a chat or WhatsApp or social media. And when they're pulled in and they've asked, what is it I've said? What is it I've done? They haven't got it. They haven't got the evidence. So you're basically being arrested and charged with something that they haven't even seen yet. They can't provide it. And it just feels like they can just arrest you for absolutely anything. And you're actually being treated worse than, say, a paedophile or somebody who's murdered someone at this stage, because it seems to me that, taking away free speech and cracking down on what people are saying and people having an opinions is now seen as a bigger crime than, say, attacking somebody or murdering somebody. And we do have the video of your arrest, actually. So we're just going to play that before you go.
Yeah. My camera's rolling. Anyway, don't badge number anything like, are you happy? we to continue. But 8441 as well, right? Both work for Port Police Station, but right?
Okay, yeah.
To be totally honest with you, right? We've had a report. There's been posts put on Facebook, right? Of a nature which could be. Listen now, right? Let me just finish what I'm trying to say. Could be seen as racial hatred, alright?
It's a load of bollocks.
Right,
You know
listen
that.
now.
You were trained.
Listen now, alright? So let me finish what I got to say, okay? So based off of that, right, the time is 12:55 and I'm arresting you on suspicion of indecent racial hatred.
Show me which one first.
You do not have to say anything but me on your defence. If you do not mention my question, subject to later right in court, 18 do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that, fella? And it says if we raise it for a prompt and effective investigation, okay? Do you understand that?
What is the racial thing? I need to know the racial.
So you're happy for me to have your phone and we get going straight away?
No, I'm not happy for you to have
Right.
my phone. Alright, I'm not.
Right, well, now,
Okay,
no,
you'll have
put
it.
your hands down.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not
Stop
happy.
resisting. No,
I'm
that's
happy.
fine. Right, that's fine.
I'll give it to you now.
So I'm laughing because it's not funny.
boys.
Here you go. Are you happy now, yeah?
It's still playing. I'm kind of looking at that. If you had a vendetta against somebody, all you would have to do now is phone the police and say, I want to report them for a Facebook post. And they're going to turn up at your door, arrest you like that, because it's all circumstantial. And we'll arrest you and then we'll discuss it down at the police station and then we'll look for the evidence afterwards, rather than having the evidence in front of them and saying, yeah, this is an arrestable offence, we'll arrest them. And then it just goes on.
And the councillor arrested me. She was responsible for arresting the other two in my area as well. And they actually got arrested. They did plead guilty and they ended up doing, they had 3 years really. But they got, because they pleaded guilty at the first chance, they give them a 2-year sentence and then they done 40% of that. And one of them was a veteran as well.
Right. So, and this is kind of similar with Lucy Connolly, isn't it? Because it almost feels that she was kind of tricked into saying, "Oh, if you plead guilty now, you'll only carry out a third of
I was quite firm from the start. I said, "Look,
you've pleaded not guilty."
What have I said? And when he was saying, "Look, I can't see it," I just thought this is bullshit. So I said, "Look, I'm not going guilty." I said, and he was like, "Well, you know, judging on what you've said and looking, comparing it to other people who have already been charged, and they're looking at 2 to 4 years. That's what they're telling me. You could be missing. You could be doing a lot of extra time if you get found guilty and you've gone not guilty. You could be doing all that extra time and hinting that to me all the time. I said, look, I'm not going guilty. I said, done nothing. I said, what have I done? And he said, look, if you had said this a couple of months ago, things would have been different. And I was like, why? Why would it be different? I said, sorry, we've had a new government, but the laws haven't changed. Yeah. And he just went like that, agreeing with me. And he also said, don't make this political. And I thought, well, it was kind of political because I was talking, I've been talking about Labour Party and getting the councillors and stuff involved. But he said, don't make it political. Starmer wouldn't like that. That's what he said to me. And I was thinking, well, what's Starmer? What do you mean Starmer wouldn't like it? The Starmer's nothing to do with this.
It feels that everything is very political. I repeat over and over, I am not a political person. I believe that all parties are, in fact, the same. But what I have to admit is that since we have obviously had this Labour government and had Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, it is becoming very, and I can never pronounce the word, authoritarian, isn't it? We're kind of moving into a totalitarian, and I'm going to sound really stupid because I can never pronounce the word, but we're heading that way. It feels like almost a personal vendetta coming straight from 10 Downing Street. And am I going to get arrested for now saying that? Who knows? But it feels going really heavy-handed on trying to stop any kind of, I don't even like to use the word dissent, because it is just freedom of speech and having an opinion about the way in which our country is being run, because we can't deny the fact, sorry, I'm on a rant now, that, they are the public servants. We have put them in this position, and yet we're moving into times, we already are in these times, that now it's like they control us. It's not the other way around. They're not working for us. They're controlling us and shutting us down. We're not allowed to have an opinion anymore, so...
they've forgotten their role. Like you said, they serve us, and we have forgotten as well. I think that they do serve us because people are afraid of them, and they really, they should be serving us, and they're doing the exact opposite at the moment. Like you said, they've been really authoritarian.
Yeah. And off the back of that, you didn't even get bail, did you? You got remanded.
Yeah. He said that I was. He feared that I was going to cause further offences, and even though I've not got any previous, I had a drink driving 15 years ago, but that was it.
So they're psychic now. Then you do one video, and actually the best portion of that video is just trying to get people together and work within the law. But clearly, maybe they saw you as a threat in that respect, so they needed to kind of shut you down. Yet your history, the life in which you've led has been exemplary. You have served this country. You've put you may know you've given your life, really.
Well, I was willing to give the ultimate sacrifices in my life, back then, and I've still got that kind of mindset where I still feel like I want to look after my community and keep them safe. And that's the reason that I stepped up to call that meeting. I've been quite active since COVID. I've been going to different meetings there, and we were quite active doing different things. We were going to police stations, we were going to vaccine centres, we were going to schools and giving out information. Letters of liability and stuff like that, with proof as well, peer-reviewed proof that the harm's coming from the vaccines. So I'd been, quite active. I've always kind of, say always, for about 10 years at least now, I've been quite active and trying to get in political and standing up to the wrongs that I can see happening.
I think that's what they don't like as well. So how long were you actually remanded for, Jamie?
In total, it was 20 days. So 3 days in the police station and then 17 days in Cardiff jail.
Wow. For a video that actually wasn't in.
And I was lucky to get bail the second time, I think, because I think that judge really didn't want to give me the bail. But I can't remember what happened. It was something to do with that. It was made public. The whole thing was made public, and it would have been really hard for her not to give me bail because, like I said, I have no previous, and my background and everything was, clean.
Because didn't the Free Speech Union get involved? Yeah.
So I had sacked them first solicitors when I was in jail because they were terrible and they were making me feel guilty. I remember the second solicitor, but he still couldn't see my video. This is a couple of months down the line now. The video was still buffering.
So they still don't have the evidence yet. They did charge you.
This second solicitor didn't have Facebook. I said, well, just look at it on your own Facebook. Then he said, I haven't got Facebook. And I said, well, come on, mate, you're gonna have to, you're trying to defend me here. You've got to scrutinise that video, pull it apart, because that's what they're going to be doing. And he said, no, well, you've told me bits. And he said, I've seen part of it. And I've said, no, that's not washing with me. And the Free Speech Union had been in touch with me because they'd seen my story on the news. So they reached out, left an answer phone message. And I'd spoken to them. And when that, like I said, the second time I met my second solicitor, and he still couldn't see the video, I just said, look, I'm gonna have to leave it there. But I was thankful to him, to be honest, because he got me my bail. He got me out. Yeah. And I do say thank you for that. But I obviously wanted someone who could view my video. And when I spoke to the Free Speech Union, they'd seen my video, plus they'd gone down my Facebook page and watched a load of my other videos, so they got a bit of background on me. And they said they were, they wanted to help. When I'd been released on bail then, but I had my bail conditions were I had a tag with a curfew from 10 p.m. till 7 a.m.
What was their justification for a tag on you? What did they think you were going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that I wasn't allowed on social media, or if I had a smart device, that I was to tell the police, and they were to, if they felt necessary, they were going to put some kind of software on there to track me. So I just kept with the basic Nokias, and yeah, when I went with the Free Speech Union, when I had my first meeting with them, they really couldn't believe I had a tag on. They literally went like that. You got a tag? They said, for what? For an online offence, and they were laughing. And they said, "Do you want it off?" I said, "Yes, please." And they got it off within a week. So they could tell that tag was just nothing. It was just.
It does feel that they are abusing the law themselves a little bit, aren't they, to really punish people and send out a message.
The process is the punishment. I've heard a few people saying, and it is like, I missed altogether about 6 weeks of work. I've had my name slandered. My little girl was constantly crying while away because she's autistic, and I've never really been away from her for more than, say, 2 days.
We are running out of time, so I want to just say what actually happened. When it actually got to court.
So when I got to court, I was feeling quite confident by then because I knew I was in the right hands. Yeah. And Luke Gittos, my solicitor, and Adam King, the barrister, really impressed him in court. I really suggest anyone who's watching this, if they look up the Free Speech Union, and you can get a membership with them. But they were. I just felt safe, when I was in court. I was a little slightly nervous just because, if it did go south, then I was looking at probably 3 to 4 years. And but I felt they played my video, they played my police interview, and I just felt confident after that. The barrister I had was really breaking down every word I said and explaining it to the jury, what it meant. And I was lucky that I had, when I actually went for my court case, I had a different judge that I did when I went.
You actually had a jury, didn't you?
Yeah, the jury, and they found me not guilty within 17 minutes.
Quite ironic, really, isn't it? Because isn't that the same amount of days?
Days out in jail, yeah.
On remand. It almost seems like that was, a kind of deliberately done by the jury as a message. Do you know what I mean? 17 minutes it took them for the 17 days on remand.
It probably took them 5 minutes because they have to go down to the back room. They have to pick the chief juror, then the one that stands up and says it in all that time. So they didn't spend much time thinking about it.
So it was very.
Once you watch the video, I think once you watch the video, you decide for yourself straight away.
When you put it in context as well, with with everything that you said, you put it into context. You weren't inciting racial hatred or violence. You were basically begging and pleading for people to come together and, form essentially a neighbourhood watch, a local residents association, and do everything above board.
That's all I wanted.
They didn't like that. And, what's kind of so ironic about this is that they, you have been, they've tried to silence you, they've tried to punish you. You're not the only one, obviously, by far. As you said, we very famously know of what's happened to Lucy Connolly, yet Keir Starmer sat in that White House and said to Trump about how much they value free speech and will protect it at any cost.
Just a joke in it, but I knew there was something up. I knew, when he was saying things to me, like, if you'd said this a couple of months ago, and Starmer wouldn't like this, you wouldn't like you to make this political, and Starmer's fast tracking these to the Crown Court. So I was thinking, this isn't right. There's something wrong here. And I was thinking, I'm not going to get caught up in this stitch-up operation. I stood my ground, and I knew that I hadn't said anything as well. That's why I kept asking them, what did I say? And they were going, I don't know, because the video doesn't work.
Yeah, we have got that video, just to remind people of what Starmer actually said to Trump in the White House. earlier
Vice
this year.
President Vance condemned free speech violations in the UK, particularly. Could you respond? What is your message?
I have an idea. We have the man right here. Come on. Let's go, JD. We're putting you on stage.
Great. Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
I would say that he just lied.
The toolmaker's son.
I mean, how can he sit there and keep saying, I mean, you can tell by his body language and the stuttering that he doesn't actually really believe what he's saying, but obviously he has to say it because everything they're doing is actually scaring people into taking away free speech by silencing them essentially. I mean, how's it made you feel after this all happening to you?
Like I was really, really cautious for a while afterwards. I'm kind of coming back to how I was before now, because I feel that we can't have our voices taken away. If we have our voices taken away, we can have all our freedoms taken away following that very soon. And we know, well, I'm pretty sure now that all this kind of migration problems we're having is let to happen just to give them an excuse to bring in this digital ID. And I'm not going to stop. You know, I know the consequences now. I could potentially get arrested again, but I just think if it's too important, we just got to keep talking. And I know if I talk, then that'll give other people confidence to talk as well. So, and if they did shut me up, then everyone else around you would probably be quiet. And that's
I think that is actually the intention of all of it. Is, you know, we are losing free speech, and it is very concerning about where we're heading. And as you just said, you know, you felt extremely cautious. I mean, I'm very much aware. Every single day I put something up on social media, I think very carefully about the terminology and the wording in what I say. But I know that, you know, anything that you say potentially against them is going to get you arrested. And, you know, by doing this,
they call you a racist or Islamophobe now for literally nothing, like, you know, just because you disagree with them. And then you have Peter Finch. You know, we've mentioned Lucy Connolly. You know, it's not just you. There's so many other people. There was a couple that were arrested for speaking out. Well, not speaking out. They had issues with their child's school, and you know, they ended up being arrested. It's very easy now to get somebody arrested with the way in which, you know, our government are instilling this, to call the police for anything that anybody says just for having an opinion, and it being made something that it isn't. And you're right. I think the sole purpose of that is to scare us into silence, because they are planning things. They are planning a control on all of us. There is an agenda, and they don't want the likes of you speaking out about that. Yeah, no, they really want to clamp down on our freedoms in all sorts of ways, and say freedom of speech is just one of them things. But they're going to be clamping down on our freedom of movement, our freedom of purchase. Say our freedoms in all ways. That's what they're trying. They're going to try and dictate to us what we can and can't do in everything before long. 10 years down the line, we will literally, if we let this happen, we wouldn't recognize our lives as they used to be. We'll literally need permission to do everything.
Yeah. Do you know what? We have run out of time. But I do commend you, because I worry about it every day. I can't lie. I worry that I will get a knock at the door and I'm going to be arrested at some point for something that I've said or done. But it hasn't happened to me yet. I don't know what I would do if it did happen to me. I'd cross that bridge when it came to it. But, you know,
Call the Free Speech Union.
100%. You're not the first person who has mentioned the Free Speech Union. I've been hearing it a lot, and it's definitely something that I'm seriously considering now, because they have helped a lot of people. So if anyone takes anything away from this, from watching this, it will be get on with the Free Speech Union, because they're doing amazing work there for people like you. Because, like I said, I commend you really that it didn't scare you away. You know, it was not nice to obviously spend 17 days in prison and say, you know, you're a veteran. You know, it's shocking, really. You know, you served your country. You know, you fought for this country. You could have lost your life fighting for this country. There you are again.
I have been put in some, you know, scary situations, and
this is how they repay you.
I could tell they were trying to scare me, and I was just keeping my cool, and you know, as much as I could.
Yeah.
But I was just telling them this is rubbish. What I kept saying, what did I say? And if you can't tell me, there's no way I'm going guilty.
You know what? Just stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself. You know, as I said, this is how they repay you. They tried to silence you, and you know, for a crime that you actually hadn't committed, a law that hadn't been broken. And yeah, we have run out of time now, but you just keep carrying on, Jamie. 100%. Keep carrying on, because it's sending out that message that they can't silence everybody. So I want to thank Jamie for coming on and telling his story. You know, that's all we have time for today. We have kind of run over. You know, there's another episode of Dyer Consequences here on Unprecedented TV, where we speak truth without fear, and we keep the conversations, and we talk about those conversations that others don't want to touch. A huge thank you to Jamie for sharing his story and reminding us just how fragile and how vital our right to free speech really is. Because, to be honest, once we lose that, once it's gone, it's gone. The moment we start questioning authority is the moment that we will lose our freedom. If you value open dialogue and independent voices, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to us here on Unprecedented TV. It helps us keep those important discussions alive, and we want to keep having them all the time. I'm Claire Dyer. This has been Dyer Consequences. And until next time, stay brave, stay curious, never, ever stop speaking your truth.